Hermione, happy 30th birthday. I have read each and every one of your points that you wrote roughly 2 hours ago now on Facebook saying today I am 30 years old. And I want to respond to a few. First of all, I have always taken you very seriously. And I couldn't be happier for your new role as a mother. I haven't met your child yet. The only thing is, sometimes remember that time I saw you at TechCrunch Disrupt and I interviewed you about that device that you were promoting that basically acts as an aid to give you, what did you put, number 20, that orgasms are the key to happiness? It was kind of related to that, right? So it's kind of hard to talk about devices like that with an entirely straight face, okay? But that doesn't mean at all that I didn't take you seriously. I think you know that. And we've been in a lot of circles together, and I think I can say as a, let me take the I think out of my sentence. I can say as a black person in tech who started two companies, Sports Business Simulations, which actually was written up in Read Write Rev as a example of startup failure, and now as NE62 Media, where I have a collection of blogs and video blogs. I can make this observation. A lot of white women in tech focus on white guys for their affirmation, for their raison d'etre in some cases, if you think about what drives them, and I'll get to that in a second, or their self-worth. And they shouldn't do that. Now, the interesting, I think, response is going to be, well, what choice do you have? You have a lot of them. But the bottom line is that, first, when I started going to tech events, there were always the white women that were looking for the white guys who they thought had money who were in tech. The Julia Allison types. And I know Julia will probably hear this and go ape, but at the time, that's the message she's put out, okay? Openly. And there are others who were in her camp. So much so that if you went there, like me, they didn't give you the time of day. So when someone says that it's a man's world, my response is it's not really a man's world in tech. It's just that you give a lot of men in tech who are white a lot of power by asking for things or expecting something from them or playing off them. If women align themselves more with black males and black females, and I'm talking about white women, and other folks of color, you would realize a different view, and we'll be able to start our own coalitions and our own funding organizations and everything else. You see what I'm getting at? You see what I'm getting at? So I'm just saying some things that are hard for some to hear, but from my experience, they're true. Having said all that, it's not so bad, because if our society were as bad off as what I just said implied, we wouldn't have elected the first African-American president in Barack Obama. We did that. Still, there are culture wars, and there are guy gamers who attack women and treat them in the most inappropriate of ways. But women don't team up, and they don't team up with others who are in the out group. It becomes what I call a straight white male ethic. That is, the straight white male is the normal person that people react to, and anyone who is not straight white male, regardless of race or color, is on the outside. For example, I'm straight black and male, and yet you would think that straight white females would say, hey, we see Zinni at these tech events, let's talk with him, bring him in, invite him in. And that doesn't happen much at all. At all. I'm just saying. For example, there was Julia Allison. Julia Allison used to go to these events and would skip over meeting a guy like me, but she was always on the hunt for some tech white guy she thought was worth meeting because he was a tech white guy who presumably had bucks. Think about it. Presumably. Presumably. Or maybe it was the key to bucks or success. And if Julia watches this and denies it, I'll pull up every single event she was at in the past and say, hey, look at this stuff. Just saying. I'm just saying, okay? But this is 2015 now. We're in a different place. And what I've experienced in watching you and getting to know you and others is you have one desire that binds all of us together, and that's the desire to make the world around us better via tech, but also better in general. And I think that's something to be very, very proud of. Very proud of. There's nothing wrong with focusing on your career, as you say you've done. I never considered you to be a bitch. Never. So when you wrote that, I thought, where's that coming from? Or maybe I wasn't around you long enough. I don't know. I just don't think that way. So I never saw that if it was there to see. And of course I didn't watch that show you all were on because I didn't get that form of cable at the time. I was always on a plane. It wasn't because I didn't want to see you. It just didn't line up for me. Yeah. So, and I'm sorry that some of the relationships, the great relationships that existed going into that, didn't survive coming out of it. Here I'm talking about the Bravo TV series that you were on with others who are still my friends to this day, but I'm not going to bother naming them. You also wrote to see science does not have all the answers. Always an exception to the rule. That's true. I completely agree. Life is really tough, but everybody reading this right now has had it easy compared to 99% of the world's population. Well, maybe. You have to remember, you know, here's why I say that. Because I remember the fall of the Berlin Wall and the decline of what we call communist Russia. A woman, I believe in Hungary, was interviewed by someone, and they said, you know, we're used to standing in lines. This is our world. This is what we know. Okay? So, that, if you take what I said in that context, those folks really are happy. What's changed is the internet has communicated for those who can have internet access that there is a better society just on the other side of the world, yet more within their reach than ever. And I think this is what's contributed to some degree to the Arab Spring of the recent past, right? But nonetheless, we tend to think of the world from our perspective, from our context. And you have to remember that sometimes for others, a simpler life really is that. It's simpler for them. And they may not enjoy the way we live life. It's something to be considered and respected. You say, I hate office environments, but love Skype conferences. I hate office environments too. Well, except when they're really working right. I hate dysfunctional office environments. You had to let love in to fall in love. That's true. And you said it's still largely a man's world, but it's changing. White man's world, but it's changing. Don't be afraid to put color on things, because you'll see the world as it is when you do that. Sometimes you may not like what you see. Okay? Relationships work when both work really hard at it. Like two co-founders. That's very true. And I agree with everything you've written. I love wine as well. I guess that's why we're friends. Humor is paramount to getting through life. Damn right about that. Now, there's nothing on here that I disagree with at all. And yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday. I think the one thing that I would add is video blog. Don't give up vlogging. Just do it. Let it all hang out. Talk. Create your own shows. Become a YouTube creator. We are already, aren't you? But have you done anything with your channel? Anyway, I digress. Happy 30th birthday. I love you very much. Hella jealous of your husband.